so much. I love you so much. I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hello, all you positive heads out there. Thanks for tuning your beautiful brainwaves into another episode of the Positive Head Podcast, where we are firmly convinced that creating success and happiness is rooted in understanding the ultimate nature of reality and the fact that as human beings, we are all immensely powerful fractals of the one and only source consciousness, which creates and animates all things. Now, of course, understanding this powerful truth is one thing. Applying this incredibly empowering wisdom to everyday life? Well, that's another, which is exactly why we provide you with a fresh serving of soul food for thought 5 days a week to help constantly remind you of what matters most. You are it. And I'm your host, Brandon Beecham. I'm the reflection and extension of you who will be here each Wednesday interviewing a different consciousness changemaker. And on the other 4 weekdays, leading the way to ensure that your perspective is consistently expanded, your vibration is constantly elevated, and your heart is overflowing and full. Also, before we jump into today's episode, I'd like to take about a minute and a half to tell you about a few sponsors that not only help to make it possible to produce this show 5 days a week, but that I'm also genuinely passionate about promoting. The first longtime stellar supporter of the show that I want to mention is Gaia. If you're not familiar, Gaia is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content online with over 8,000 video titles. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. The second sponsor I'm sincerely passionate about promoting is Purium. It's no mystery that bringing your mind, body, and spirit into balance is necessary if a person truly intends to manifest the greatest and grandest version of themselves. So if you've been looking for a way to easily get organic superfoods into your system every day with a simple plan that can help you reestablish a healthier foundation and relationship with food, like I was doing before I found Purium, I highly recommend going to positivehead.com/transformation and checking out the videos and interviews there where I dive deeply into discussions explaining why I take these products every day. And should you ultimately end up on iShopPurium.com to purchase any of their 50 plus amazing superfood products, be sure to use the code POSITIVEHEAD, all one word, for a 25% discount. All right, all you positive heads, it is a terrific Tuesday here in the studio. Hope you guys missed me terribly on Monday. No, I know you didn't. I know you only missed me just a little bit. And you thoroughly enjoyed Dr. Erica Middlemiss, Miss holding it down, helping me to steer the ship as I navigate all things optimistic lately as in preparation for, as of now, 40 days till the first live taping. So a lot going on there. We're getting closer and closer to halfway filled up on the retreats as well. So would absolutely love you guys who are out there thinking and feeling the call, getting the rush of energy of, yes, I want to come to the Mystic Manor. Let's talk, let's chat. Let's see if what we can do to make it happen. Because, like I said, we're not quite halfway full, but maybe it's only been 6 weeks or so since we launched everything. So it is consistently getting fuller and fuller. And I would love for everyone who's really feeling the call to want to be there to work out whatever we can to make that happen, whether it's a payment plan or whatever. I'm pretty creative, as you probably know by now. As Henry Ford said, whether we think we can or think we can't, we're right. And I think we can make a lot of magic happen together. Just drop me an email, brandon@positivehead.com, if you want to discuss all things Mystic Manor with me. Otherwise, today I'm going to talk about sunshine in a bag. I saw a quote about happiness that sort of jumped out at me that felt like it wanted to be talked about. And then I, of course, thought, one of my big regrets is when Bradley, my son, was like 2 years old, one of the first things, he's barely talking, he's talking pretty good by 2, but still, a 2-year-old. And this song at the time, the Gorillaz song, Clint Eastwood, was popular. And I loved it. And so he heard it a lot. And I just remember him singing it. I'm happy. I'm feeling glad. I got sunshine in a bag, but in a 2-year-old's voice. And it was like the cutest thing ever. He was like the cutest little kid. And one of my big regrets is not getting that on tape, not getting a video of him singing that. Like, what was I thinking? And of course, this was before everyone had a recording device in their pocket. We were still dealing with like flip phones back then, I think. So anyway, well, it's there. It's etched in eternity in the Akashic Records. I'm going to definitely pull those clips at some point when I am born back into non-physical. It's a great memory. It was so cute. But all right, let's see here. So yeah, today I'm going to talk about happiness, sunshine in a bag. And before I do, I would like to read a review by Core24 on iTunes. iTunes is, as of now, still the holy grail for all things podcasting. Apple just announced they're going to be setting up separate, like a podcasting only platform and a music only. So hopefully all these reviews transfer, because I don't want to lose them. There's like over 1,100, and they're like messages from you guys to me, and and they mean the world to me. So yeah, if anyone knows how to scrape websites and wants to go and collect these, that would be wonderful. A wonderful, wonderful gift to me. I just want to make sure they don't go away in any way when Apple makes this big change. But this particular review came in by Core24, and Core24 said, "Thanks. It's funny how things work and how I found this podcast by simply searching the word positive, because I've had trouble with negative thinking. I've never heard of this podcast and gave it a shot. Of course, it was a great choice. Positivity is key, and this sure helps reach out towards that. Thank you for everything you guys do, and I will continue to listen all week, every week." Oh, thank you, Core24. And that's a great, perfect, synchronistic review for today's topic that I'm talking about, right? General happiness and positivity, right? And the whole thing that sparked me wanting to talk about this today is I saw a post on Facebook, and it said, ironically enough, when you make peace with the fact that the purpose of life is not happiness, but rather experience and growth, happiness comes as a natural byproduct. When you are not seeking it as the objective, it will find its way to you. And I thought that was a really interesting statement, and I think there is some truth in there for sure. And there's some, I saw some people debating with it. I do not agree. One person wrote, "We are divine designed to be happy, full of love, joy, and laughter, especially now with ascension energies." That's what one person wrote, in response to it, and. So, I think yes to all of it. I say I agree with both of you, and it's all the lens from which you're viewing and the perspective from which you're viewing. So, you guys have heard me say before in the past, peace is really the ultimate goal more than happiness. Being at peace with what is. Because, what I think this quote means here is you didn't come here only to be happy. Because if you only came to be happy, there would be no, there is no, you hear me say all the time, there is no great work of art you've ever seen without shadow, right? And so it's really important to understand that growth is sometimes painful. Experiences that give you the contrast that your soul needs in order to truly have those joyful, blissed out, happy moments that you long for, you need the contrast. And that's why our souls do this. And so when you can understand, the fact that you're not happy all the time or blissed out all the time, and that's a part of the journey, that's a really important thing to get. I saw a quote by Maxim Legace, says, "Ups and downs, victories and defeats, sadness and happiness. That's the best kind of life." So when you understand it's all serving the greater good, it's all serving, this experience. It's happiness really comes from letting go of what you think your life is supposed to be, what it's supposed to look like, and surrendering to what arises. A master is someone who embraces whatever shows up because they realize, their higher self has divinely designed it to show up there. You've co-created it with your higher self, and it is exactly what you need to lead you to the next greatest and grandest version of yourself. And when you understand that, yes, you may be in a valley. Some of you listening right now may be in a dark place, in a valley, right? And that's how you tuned into this podcast. I want you to have faith that valley is. There's always going to be, you're deep in the roots of your experience, deep underground, but that's happening so that the branches can rise higher above, and you inevitably will come out of this. And the more that you trust that process and surrender to what is, that's how you help to move through it. As the quote said, it comes as a natural byproduct. When you're not seeking it as the objective, it finds its way to you. And there's some truth to that with all things. It's like you can have what you don't need. When you think you need it in order to be at peace, right? Then you're pushing it away, and it's going to become really, really elusive. When you trust the process of your life completely, the unfolding completely that is happening for you, not to you. And it's not designed to always be this flowery, bubbly, think of someone who's never had any sort of hardship. I don't know if you've ever known that, person. I mean, most people have had some level of hardship, but, there's some who have much more severe than others. We've all met that person at least who kind of like had especially a young person. They haven't had enough life experience. Let's say they're a teenager and they've lived under the bubble of their parents their whole life. We all went to high school with that kid, right? They're like really wealthy, maybe. They've been under this bubble. They haven't had any life experience to give them that contrast yet. And so it's like, a lot of times you even see this with really, really wealthy kids. They end up being like spoiled rotten. There's a reason that's a name. They kind of turn rotten without that contrast, without that struggle, without understanding, and this is actually, funny enough, the story of Buddha. Siddhartha, he was a prince, and then he wanted to see outside of the castle walls or wherever, palace walls, and realized all the suffering and everything that was going on out there. And then he went out to explore, and that's, what led him on his spiritual journey. But, we've all known the prince who, oftentimes gets to be, sort of spoiled, rotten in a sense, without having that contrast. So when you understand all of that is super necessary and a part of it all, as I always say, just being at peace with the process. Wouldn't it feel good? How much unhappiness comes from fighting against life? How much, just that alone, if you were to stop fighting anything and everything that comes your way, just stop the resistance, stop the struggle, surrender. Every time I find I'm fighting against someone or something, and I've definitely had my fair share of turbulence with relationships and things in the last couple weeks, especially. And every time I'm like, agitated or angry or fighting or feeling betrayed or hurt or anything, and then I just surrender completely to the process and trust the process, such a huge weight is lifted, right? And we go through that, and I'm sure I'll continue to refine that. But how many of you out there fighting against something? What if to be at peace with what is was more important to you than being right? And that's a big one, right? Do you want to be at peace, or do you want to be right? I think being at peace is the ultimate. And it is truly, as this little clip or 10-minute or so clip I'm going to share here in a minute talks about, it is truly all in your mind. It is a state of being that you choose. You opt that I'm going to show up. I'm not going to be a reactionary being anymore. If this happens, I'm happy. If this happens, I'm sad. I'm a puppet on a string. Everything external of me affects me and decides how my day is going to go. That sucks. That is like, you are a yo-yo, and it's not a place that you want to be. It really isn't. We've all been there, right? So what if you decided your state of being prior to showing up? Doesn't mean you're always going to pull it off. You're going to slip, all those things. I do. But I've gotten better and better at surrendering when the agitation arises or the conflict arises, and just disempowering it, right? It's hard for someone to fight with you when you're not fighting back. Okay, yeah, you're right. I surrender, as you wish, as you say. It completely unplugs, disarms. You can't create that ongoing loop. And if you can get into a place where you learn to start doing that more often, and start choosing how you're going to show up. Okay, I'm going into this situation. It's a holiday and the family's there who always, as Ram Dass said, if you think you're enlightened, spend a week with your family. These are the souls that are meant to trigger you the most. And when you understand that your triggers are your treasures, now you start treating everyone as if they're all enlightened and you're just here to learn from them. They don't need to know they're enlightened. They can be acting like a complete buffoon from one perspective, but they're still triggering you, which is what you need in order to become a skilled sailor, right? Smooth seas never made for a skilled sailor. To sharpen your axe so you get better at being the next greatest and grandest version of yourself. So they're meant to play that role and just push every button you got. Once you understand that, right? Now you're really, really onto something. And you say, okay, I'm going into this situation and I'm going to choose how I show up prior to showing up. The aim is not to be right when they start preaching crazy things that are completely out of whack with what I know to be the ultimate truth. My ultimate truth doesn't matter. I'm not here to be right. I'm here to be at peace. And I'm going to use this as a testing ground for myself to make me stronger. And now, most people, of course, are doing the opposite. They're doing something like work in order to be, have something like money, in order to be something like happy, right? Choose the state of happiness and peace prior to it arriving. And then, like that quote said earlier, this is when it comes to you. Be it first. Be it to see it, and then you find yourself having and doing the things that reflect that state of being. This is how you consciously create your experiences. This is how we do it. This is how the new you moves through reality on planet Earth and creates more peace, abundance, happiness. All the things that are reflective of a peaceful state will then start to find their way through, because you're no longer offering resistance. You're no longer offering turbulent vibrations. And the law of the universe is that which is like itself, like unto itself is drawn, right? So what are you being vibrationally? If you want to know what you'll see tomorrow, look at what you're feeling and emanating today, because there is a lag in 3D reality or 5D, whatever we are now, and wherever we're at in the ascension, that's a whole nother matter. I have a clip here to play you. It's from a TEDx talk in Greenville 5 years or so ago. It's called Happiness is All in Your Mind. Gen Kelsang Nyema. I might have butchered that name, but yeah, that's who it is. Notice how, and she's Buddhist. She's wearing all the Buddhist traditional garb, and notice how peaceful her state is. How, that's one thing as a very fiery, definitely Leo kind of energy over here. I have a lot of energy coursing through me, and this is something that I can definitely. I always admire when I see folks that have such a peaceful way about them, slow and deliberate. It's not better or worse than being really animated and energized. It's just different, right? And they're both have their place and time. But there certainly is something that's calming and serene about it. It's sort of like they're a walking meditation. And as you'll hear her discuss, how important that piece is to cultivate this state of peace and happiness that we seek. Let's take a listen.
All right, my friends, hello.
Hello.
So I want to start off with a few questions. And I know a lot of other presenters have already asked you questions. And they've been kind of hard questions. But the questions I'm going to ask you are very, very simple. And I promise you'll be able to answer these. All right, are you ready for your first one? Okay. Your first question is, you don't have to answer out loud. Are you having a good day? Okay, you got your answer? All right. My second question for you is, why? If you're having a good day, why are you having a good day? Or if you're having a bad day, why are you having a bad day? So I have one more question for you. This should be the easiest one of all. My last question is, tomorrow, would you rather have a good day? Or would you rather have a bad day? Do you have your answer for that one? What about the day after tomorrow? What about Sunday? Let's see. Yeah, that's right. Tomorrow's Saturday. Sunday. How about Monday? Would you like to have a good day or a bad day on Monday? Tuesday? Wednesday? Thursday? Friday? This time next week? A good day or a bad day? So that last question, like I said, is probably the easiest one for us to answer. Because we know the answer to that, don't we? We want to have a good day, every day. Did anyone in the room answer, yes, I want to have a bad day on Monday? Of course not. We all want to have a good day, every day. So this is really speaking to the type of happiness that we all wish for in our heart of hearts. We have a good day when we are happy. And we want to be happy every day. There's never a day when we don't want to be happy. But whether or not we have good days or bad days really depends upon how we answered the second question. Do you remember the second question? What was the second question? Why? Why am I having a good day? Why am I having a bad day? So one thing that my teacher says, his name is Gen Kelsang Nyema, and he says that much of the time our mind is like a balloon in the wind, blown here and there by external circumstances. Do you know that feeling? He says when things are going well, when they're going our way, we feel happy. But then if something goes wrong, for example, he says if we're forced to work with a colleague that we dislike, but I'm sure none of you have colleagues you dislike, right? He says if we're forced to work with someone we dislike, or if something doesn't go our way, then our happy feeling disappears. So as long as our answer to the question, why am I having a good day, or why am I having a bad day? Because, this is a question people ask us, like maybe when you get home today, someone will go, well, so how was that TED thing? Did you have a good day? And we'll say, yeah, I did. There was this lady, and she talked to us about how we need to be compassionate towards former inmates, and there was this performer who did this awesome beatboxing thing with his mouth, and this person and that person. As long as our reasons for why we had a good day are a list of external conditions, then we're not going to have the stable happiness that we all want. Does that make sense to you? Because if that's what our happiness depends upon, because we cannot control people and circumstances every single day, then our happiness will be in the hands of others, won't it? It'll be at the whim of our circumstances. So if you really wish to have a good day every day, we've got two things we need to do. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to stop outsourcing our happiness and outsourcing our unhappiness onto people and circumstances. In other words, we need to stop attributing our happiness to what's going on externally. And we need to stop blaming others, especially blaming others, for our unhappiness. So for as long as we do that, as long as we're making it the job of people and circumstances to make us happy, or as long as we're making it their fault when we're unhappy, our happiness will be very unstable and elusive. Our second job is to actively cultivate a source of peace and a source of happiness coming from inside our own mind. So here's something I want you to commit to memory. Are you ready? This is another line from one of my teacher's books where he says, happiness and unhappiness are states of mind, and therefore their real causes cannot be found outside the mind. So if we have a peaceful state of mind, we will be happy regardless of people and circumstances. If our mind is unpeaceful or agitated, then even if we have very good circumstances, we'll find it impossible to be happy. So in other words, it's not what is happening that is making us happy or unhappy. It is how we are responding to those things that determines whether we are happy or unhappy. It is what our state of mind is like that determines our happiness or our unhappiness. So how are we going to do this? So we can all understand this. Like intellectually, it's not rocket science, is it? It's not hard to understand. And maybe to a certain extent, as I tell you these things, you're like, yeah, I knew that already. I knew that already. But how do we actually do it? How do we actually cultivate this stable peace of mind that we can rely upon regardless of the external circumstances? So this is really where meditation comes into play. And I would say I would need a whole other TED Talk, hint, hint, in order to really do the subject of meditation justice. But for our purposes today, we can say that meditation is a mental action. It's the mental action of concentrating on a peaceful, positive state of mind. If we do that, if we concentrate on a peaceful, positive state of mind, then we can say we're meditating. Whether that's like this, right? See, actually, you don't know if I'm meditating or not, because I could be thinking about my grocery list. It's only meditation if I'm actually focusing on a positive, peaceful state of mind. But the trick is, I can do it like this. This is called formal meditation. But we can also learn to do this all the time in our daily life. So see, here's a perfect opportunity. We concentrate on a mind of patience. We're not disturbed, not unhappy. So why don't we try it now? Are you up for it? Just a short meditation. According to the clock, I've got 3 minutes left. This is going to be a very brief one. But let's actually try it. Let's try to tap into our own potential for a peaceful, positive state of mind. So now I'll ask you just to sit comfortably and place your feet flat on the floor and your hands within your lap. And then you can lightly close your eyes and become aware of the sensation of your breath at the tip of your nose. And as you breathe out, you can imagine you are breathing out any agitation, any mental busyness, any frustration or unhappiness in your life. Breathing it all out like dark smoke. And as you breathe in, you can imagine and believe that you are breathing in a clear, bright light, which is the very nature of inner peace. And you can imagine that this clear, bright light fills your entire body and mind. And for a few seconds, simply enjoy this inner peace coming from within. And now as we finish, just be determined to bring this inner peace with you into the rest of your day to benefit yourself and others. So now we rise from meditation. Thank you very much.
Feeling much calmer now. Are you having a good day? Are you having a bad day? What would you rather have tomorrow? Stop outsourcing our happiness and unhappiness onto people and circumstances. Let's stop the blame game, she said. Nobody can make you unhappy. Have you ever considered that? Nobody can do that. Only you can do that. How often do we blame? You did this. You made me feel this. That is that is impossible. They might have done something that you then chose to react to in a way that caused you to feel a certain way, but they can't do it for you. When you make it your aim, more important than anything else, to cultivate a source of peace and happiness within yourself, you understand that happiness and unhappiness are nothing more than a state of mind, and therefore their real causes cannot be found outside the mind. We've been looking and told our whole lives where happiness and unhappiness lies outside of ourselves, all our whole lives, and then we're chasing a phantom. It's not what happens. It's not what happens. You're going to continue to have a lot of the same things happen. How are you going to respond differently than you once did to achieve your ultimate aim, which is ultimately going to lead you to a level up in the next greatest and greatest version of yourself? Do you want to pass the test? Do you want to grow? Do you want to expand at the most rapid rate possible, where it gets more and more pleasant? I do. Your only power is how you respond. I love how she said meditation. Her definition of meditation is wonderful. It's the mental action of concentrating on a peaceful, positive state of mind. We get so hung up on what meditation is. I can't do it. I can do it. It's supposed to be this. You have to say this mantra. There is no have to anything. Concentrating on a peaceful, positive state of mind. That's very broad, right? I'm going to sit with myself and be at peace. I've been making time. I wasn't the last month or so really meditating much. And then, I realized I was more stressed and agitated than I've been with all the things on my plate. More than I've ever had on my plate right now. And I realized this is when you need to make the time to meditate the most. Like I believe it was Osho that said, everyone should meditate 20 minutes a day. Unless you don't have time, you should meditate an hour. It's because that is, it's shown, science has shown what this does to us, how this changes our brain, how it changes everything. It's your superpower that we haven't really been using nearly as much as we could. Many of us anyway. I know for me, that's true. But every moment's another chance to turn it all around. My past does not dictate anything about what happens on a go forward from this moment unless I decide it does. I'm deciding it doesn't. I'm born again in this moment. The power of now. I am in the now, and I can choose to become super meditator if I wanted to. What I've done has no bearing on where I'll go. Unless we drag that stuff from the past. Those stories. Tell the story you want to see next. Start telling it. I have a track to leave you all with. I played this one years ago. It popped into my head. And it's Ayla Nerio. I thought it would be a good time to share it again with today's subject. As we all glow on, increase the light that's flowing through us. This is Eastern Sun. Hope you enjoy. Till next time, journey well. Love you all so, so much. Also, before we cue up today's song, I wanted to let you all know that we have finally created the Game with the Universe on our website, where you can choose the first number that comes to your mind, and it'll pull up that episode number of the podcast. I've been saying this is a great way to co-create synchronicity and magic with your higher self for quite some time by doing this manually. But now if you go to positivehead.com/YO universe, there is a super fun and simple interface to play this game with your higher self. I firmly believe just by setting the intention to play in this way, it opens up the door for magic, and it's a synchronistic way to hone in on nuggets of wisdom out of the huge catalog of episodes that are specifically appropriate for you at this time in your journey to becoming the next greatest and greatest version of yourself. And it also makes for a super fun way to engage and invite friends, family, people on social media to check out the podcast as well. So be sure to check out positivehead.com/YOUNIVERSE, and be sure to tell all your friends so they can play a game with the universe, which also helps the show to reach new people, which I greatly appreciate. And as a quick reminder, be sure to also check out positivehead.com/transformation if you're curious to learn more about Purium superfoods and why I take them every day. On this journey of becoming the next greatest and greatest version of ourselves that we have all embarked upon, I can't stress the importance of managing your physical vibration enough. And quite honestly, Purium has put together the simplest plan I've found to do so, and I'm sincerely excited to share it with all of you. Lastly, if you're craving more consciousness elevating content, be sure to check out Gaia, which is my personal go-to source for streaming consciousness content on the web, where you can stream an incredible 7,000 plus exclusive videos covering 5,000 years of wisdom. As you all hear me constantly say, it's a daily conscious effort to maintain an elevated vibration. And if you're looking to journey deep down the rabbit hole to do so, then Gaia is the best place I know of to do it, period. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out.
Eastern sun, melt the cold from my bones, cut and rise. Take the darkness from my eyes, breathing in, pulling life into my lungs. As a child, I am born again. Eastern sun, melt the cold from my bones, cut and rise. Take the darkness from my eyes, breathing in, pulling life into my lungs. As a child, I am born again. Eastern sun, melt the cold from my bones, cut and rise. Take the darkness from my eyes, breathing in, pulling life into my lungs. As a child, I am born again. Eastern sun, melt the cold from my bones, cut and rise. Take the darkness from my eyes, breathing in, pulling life into my lungs. As a child, I am born again. Eastern sun, melt the cold from my bones, cut and rise. Take the darkness from my eyes, breathing in, pulling life into my lungs. As a child, I am born again.